Hello, this is Kristen at Learn English with Be Global, and today we are going to talk about greetings in the English language and the different ways that you can greet someone when you first see them, and also ways that you can say goodbye when you part. So, I want to go through two different kinds of greetings in English. There is the formal greeting and the informal greeting. So, with a formal greeting, we would be discussing more along the lines of someone that you work with, possibly your boss, or somebody that you might be having a job interview with, or somebody that you just don't know very well. So you're meeting them for the first time. This is a formal introduction. So with our meeting and our formal meeting, we want to make sure that we make a good impression and that we look very responsible and that we know what we're talking about. So when we first greet somebody formally, we want to say hello. You want to make sure that you look them in the eyes and make eye contact with them. And typically, you would also start with good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time of day it is. Now, after you've greeted them initially with either hello, or good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, after you've done that, you want to make sure you introduce yourself. So you would say, hello, good afternoon. My name is Kristen. And at that point, here in North America, we typically greet formally with a handshake. So you would extend your right hand to that person, they extend their right hand, and you give them a nice firm shake. When you first say, hello, good morning, and you introduce yourself. Once they've introduced themselves, you want to make sure that you say that it's nice to have met them. So you would say, it's nice to meet you. Or you could say, I'm pleased to meet you. Or you could say, it is a pleasure to meet you. So after going through this formal introduction again, let's go through it all together. So let's say I walk up to somebody. I'm going to pretend like that somebody is you. And I'm going to say, good morning. My name is Kristen. Pleasure to meet you. And then at that point, you probably would continue on with whatever business you may be doing with that formal meeting. You probably wouldn't ask them right away, how are you? Typically, they want to discuss a project, or if you're talking to your doctor, you're talking about a procedure, or you're at a doctor's appointment. It's not somebody that you know, so it's not typical at that point with somebody formal that you would say, how are you? However, if it's somebody that, let's say, you've met once or twice, or maybe even 3 times, at that point, you're not going to introduce yourself, so you could say, good morning, hello, shake their hand again, how are you today? Or how is your week? So it's okay to extend that how are you after you've met them the first time. But the first time, you just want to introduce yourself, be pleasant, and give them a chance to talk to you, because that's why you're coming to see them. Now, you want to make sure when we're informal, it's much more relaxed. Informally, these are people that you know very well, people that you've seen, people that you are related to, family members, people that you've known for a very long time. So when you see people like that, you see them on the street and you may say hi. You may wave hi. Some people do fist bumps when you bump your fists together. Some people do high fives where they slap their hands together. It just depends. Other people like to give a hug. They'll say hi and they'll hug them right away. Or they'll say hey. Or maybe they'll say what's up. And that's just a way of saying what's going on. How are things in your life? How's it going? And so when you first greet someone informally, typically you'll hug them, or you may high five them, or you may fist bump them. But you want to make sure, especially if you're new to the culture and you're new to the language, You want to make sure that it's someone else that's comfortable with that too. So sometimes it's best to wait back and kind of let them make that gesture if they're going to hug you or if they're going to high five you, and you can just stick with the hey or the hi and the what's up. But you always want to make sure that you have a follow-up question. So after you've said hi and maybe you hug or you high five, you want to have your follow-up. So your follow-up might be, how are you today? Or how is your family? Or maybe if it's somebody you go to school with, you will ask them, how did you do on that big test that we had yesterday? Because this is somebody that you know. So you want to ask them questions. You want to know how they're doing when you run into them. Now, the big difference I want to make sure that we know, which is very different in North America, I think, to most cultures. When you are greeting someone formally and you say, how are you? Typically, when it's somebody you don't know very well, you give them a very short response. You could say, I am good. Or you could say, I am well. Or I am fine. But it's a short answer when it's formal. You don't, if you are having a very bad week because you did bad on a test and your boss yelled at you at work and then your mother called and she's angry with you, when you're greeting someone formally and they say, how are you? You don't want to tell them all of that. When you run into your friend and they say, how are you? That's when you can say, oh my goodness, this week has been awful. And you can tell them all about your week when it's your informal friend. Another important thing is to make sure that you always return the greeting. So if you have someone that has said hello to you, you run into a friend, they say hi, you say hi back, you give them a hug, and they look at you and they say, how are you doing today? You tell them, today I am good, I feel good, I got a good grade on my test, I woke up in a good mood, and then you always want to make sure that you return that. How are you today? Make sure that you talk back to them and ask them how they are doing as well. It's just courteous and nice and respectful to make sure that you go back and ask them how they are. And if it's someone that you know, you can also follow that up with, how is your mother? Or how is your family? Or refer it to whatever that last conversation was that you had with that friend. Okay? So that goes over the formal and informal when it comes to meeting people. And now I want to discuss the formal and the informal for parting. So that's when we go away. So now this is when you're going to be leaving somebody. So formally, if you've just had a meeting with somebody and you want to make sure that you leave a good impression, you always want to say thank you. You can say, it was nice meeting you. And you can also say, have a good day or have a good night. And then shake their hand once again when you part ways. Different people will shake hands when they part. Some people will not shake hands when they part, and they will only shake upon the first meeting. You can let them make that decision. It's not considered rude if you don't shake hands when you leave. However, it is best to do both if you can and if you feel comfortable. What's important is that you say thank you, that you tell them have a good day or have a good night, and you say goodbye. So you can just say a simple goodbye. It doesn't include a wave, it doesn't include a fist bump, and it certainly doesn't include a high five. When you're formal, you stick to only the handshake. Or just thank you, have a great night, goodbye. And you can leave it to those simple whenever it's formal. One good thing is if you're not sure if it's formal or not, you can test it out to see what the other person says and get a good feeling for it. And you can always be safe just using the formal and not using the informal. Because you can say these very nicely and people will not think that you're being too formal with them. You could always be very kind and say, thank you, it was nice to meet you. I've said that to people informally too when I'm first meeting them, even if it's not a job offer or a doctor or somebody like that. Now, when you're saying goodbye and it's informal, so this is somebody that you've known for a long time, your brother, your sister, your best friend, somebody you love and know, you want to make sure that you start with the follow-up. So before you leave, you want to say something like, call me next week, or make sure you send me that text. Or if you talked about a homework assignment with a friend, let's go over that homework assignment. You kind of touch base with them to see what it is that you're going to do next. So maybe I'll call you next week before you say your final goodbye, so that they know this is the closing of the conversation and of the meeting, and then you have a point from which you know you're going to see each other again, because this is somebody that's informal. So this is somebody that you are probably going to have in your life once again. So you may say, you can still say thank you. You can still say thank you for lunch, or thank you for meeting up with me, or thanks for talking to me. It's always nice to thank a friend. And then you follow that up with another hug, or another high five, or however you relate with your friends. And then you can say bye, or see ya, see you later. Some people just say later. Ciao, which is actually Italian, but many people here in America use ciao as well. Bye-bye. Bye-bye is used more regularly and more often with children, but some adults say it as well. So they may say bye-bye to a little girl or a little boy. And then another is have a good one. And have a good one can be changed to have a good night, have a good weekend, have a good day, have a good week. Or if there is a holiday coming up, you could even go as far to say, have a good Christmas. If you know you're not going to see them for the holiday, that's a great time to wish them a Merry Holiday or a Merry Christmas, or, let them know that you're thinking of them and their family. You could always say hi to your mom for me. And then take care is a good one too, especially if you're meeting with somebody that maybe is going through something very difficult. You may not want to use one of these very cheery and happy goodbyes. You may want to say something a little more simple and kind and genuine. So at that point, you may want to say take care. And that just means take care of yourself and be well, that kind of a thing, so that they know that you care about them. And you're not just, waving them away very quickly, saying, bye, see you later. So take care is a good one too. So to recap where we are at with the greetings when you part. Formally, you would want to say, thank you very much. It was nice to meet you. Have a great night. Goodbye. Those are all great things to say to somebody formally when you have met someone for an interview, or a doctor, or someone that you are meeting with for a service for the first time that you don't know very well. And you want to make sure that you keep it very respectable and that you're making that good impression. And then informally, whenever you're talking to somebody that you know very well, somebody that's family or friends, then you start with the follow-up. So something to end the conversation as you're getting ready to part ways. Maybe thank you for dinner, or I will text you next week so that we can meet up again, or let's study those notes for that test coming up, or whatever it is that you want to discuss with them to make sure that you follow up with, to set a point to maybe see each other again, or just a recap of the night. So taking something that says, thank you for tonight, I enjoyed my time with you. You can say that too. It's very nice and very genuine. And then you can follow that up with your hug, or your high five, or your fist bump, and you can say bye, or see ya, or see you later, or ciao, and keep all of these very simple. Bye-bye, something very simple and small. And then, like I said, if it's somebody that maybe is going through something and you don't want to be too happy and cheery when you leave, you can say take care or feel better, and let them know that you care about them. I hope that these have helped you. And I know typically when we're talking, let's say we're talking about a phone conversation, that's hard because you don't know who's calling. So when you answer the phone, you answer it with hello, and then typically somebody will introduce themselves right away. And then when you get off the phone, you say goodbye, and that's very common. Those are regular greetings for our phone conversation as well. So I thank you so much for watching this lesson today. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. And if you have any questions or comments, we would love to hear from you, so please write them in below. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Hello, this is Kristen at Learn English with Be Global, and today we are going to talk about please, thank you, and I'm sorry. Now, these are all things that we use in our everyday language to show appreciation and respect for those around us. So let's start with the word please. You use the word please whenever you are asking for something from someone, or if there's something that you want someone to do for you. It is polite, it is respectful, and it is appreciated when you add please to your request. So for instance, maybe the question is that you want something that is across the table and you want it for your dinner. You would say, "Can you please pass me that plate? Can you please show me where the bathroom is?" Another thing you can do is you can remember to always add please before your sentence or after if you're not comfortable putting it in the middle and you're not sure where to put it. So then I could say, "Please, would you hand me that plate?" Or, "Please, would you show me where the restroom is?" And if you want to add it at the end, then I can say, "Would you hand me that plate, please? Would you show me where the restroom is, please?" It just shows that you appreciate what the person is doing for you and that you want to have them help you, and it shows a level of appreciation and respect. So, please, can you teach me? Or, can you teach me, please? You can put it before or at the end. And if you're ordering food, you can say, "I would like to have a soda with my bread, please." Or if someone says, "Would you like to have ice in your water?" "Yes, please." "Yes, please." And if it's something that you don't want, at that point then you would say, "No, thank you." And that's where thank you comes in. Thank you, you want to give to somebody whenever you appreciate what they've done. So if somebody has done something for you, you want to make sure that you come back with thank you. There are so many different ways to say thank you in the English language. So I'm just going to go over a few of them that we use often. Thank you very much. This is a very formal way of saying thank you to maybe somebody that you work with or somebody that has done a favor for you that you are grateful for. When you are grateful, you show your appreciation to people by saying thank you. So you might say, "Thank you very much for turning in your paper on time. Thank you very much for setting up that meeting for me." You can also say thanks. That's something you would say to a friend or somebody that you know very well, and maybe they, put the dishes away for you. Your roommate put the dishes away for you. "Hey, I put the dishes away for you today. Thanks." You could say thanks a lot, You could say thanks a ton. You could also say thanks a million to show your different ways of being grateful and showing that gratitude. One way that we can show gratitude for something that is maybe more serious in our lives would be, I cannot thank you enough. So let me give you an example. Let's say my mother fell and hurt herself at home. And unfortunately, I'm at work, so I cannot help her. But one of our neighbors, the neighbor that lives next door to my mother, she is home. And she is able to take my mother to the doctor to make sure that she is okay. If she wouldn't have taken my mother to the doctor, I don't know what I would have done. So when I see that neighbor again, I will say to her, I cannot thank you enough. I cannot thank you enough for taking my mother to the doctor when she needed it, because I could not be there. I cannot thank you enough. That means that there are not enough times that I could say thank you to show my appreciation and my gratitude for what you have done. Now we have to remember, whenever we're saying please and thank you, that we also add you're welcome. And this your is shortened for you are. So whenever you ask for something, may I please sit next to you at the table? Yes, you may. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Your welcome comes after we say thank you. Thank you for taking my mother to the hospital. You're welcome. Thank you for getting out of my way so that I can move forward. You're welcome. Your welcome is a way of acknowledging that they said thank you to you. So you're welcome, or you could say no problem. Or even no worries. Those are all more informal ways to say you're welcome. But you're welcome is the most widely accepted and the easiest one to go to if you're not sure what to say. Now, another thing that is really important when you are showing appreciation and respect for people is that you apologize if something has gone wrong and you know that it's your fault. This can be something little. It could be something as small as running into someone on the street on accident. You're walking by, you bump them. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry is what you say when you've done something that you didn't mean to do, and you want to make sure that they know that you feel badly for it. So you use, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry is far more advanced. So that's something that you would say for maybe if a friend has lost a loved one. I'm so sorry that you lost your father. Or I'm so sorry that you broke your leg. Or I'm so sorry that I didn't call you when I said that I would. I'm so sorry can show a sentiment or a feeling that you have about a situation that may or may not be your fault. But it shows that you feel badly for them and the situation that they're in. So you say that you are so sorry. And you ask for forgiveness. Please accept my apology. You could say, I'm so sorry that I didn't call you when I said that I would. Please accept my apology. And then in response, you could say, oh, thank you, I accept your apology, or I forgive you. These are important things when it comes to relating to somebody, especially if it's somebody you don't know very well. You want to be clear and communicate with them and tell them that you're sorry if you've done something that you didn't mean to do. I would like to apologize for not calling. I would like to apologize for not showing up on time. I would like to apologize for being too loud or talking too much. Please forgive me. Now, sometimes we will just say sorry, very short, and that's used when you maybe do something on accident. So for instance, when you run into somebody on accident on the street, you can just say sorry. You don't have to say please forgive me. It was an accident. You did not do it on purpose. So a simple sorry or even excuse me works. So if you know that you need to get through a group of people, the best thing for you to say is, please excuse me, or excuse me please. Or if you accidentally run into somebody, you can also say, excuse me, sorry. And that's your way of apologizing for having run into them, because you did not do it on purpose. It was an accident. And then typically someone will come back with, that's okay. Or even no problem, or no worries. And that's their way of saying, it's okay. I understand that it was an accident. Thank you for acknowledging it and saying that you're sorry, but it's not a problem. So this is a very short lesson on the differences between please and thank you and I'm sorry. So what I'd like to do now is do a little exercise to kind of talk through how this would work. So I'm going to use a story to help you remember. So we're going to pretend like I am in school and I need help with my homework. So I'm going to call two of my friends. And when I call them, I say, hi, this is Kristen. Would you be able to help me with my homework, please? Can you help me, please? So I call them on the phone and I leave these two people these messages. And I say, can you help me, please? Now, I have one friend, and she calls me back right away. And she says, yes, I would be happy to help you. Yes, I will help you. So in response to that, I say, thank you very much for helping me. Now, I would like to point out that when you use thank you, an easy way to remember how to finish the sentence is to take the verb and add ing. I-N-G. So it could be, thank you for teaching me. Thank you for calling me. Thank you for showing me. You just add ing to the end of the verb, and that finishes your sentence for when you want to thank somebody after they have helped you. Now, my other friend didn't call back until it had been about 3 or 4 days. And then she called me and she said, I'm sorry. I could not help you. Please forgive me for not calling sooner. So that's my friend saying, I'm sorry I could not help you. Please forgive me for not calling sooner. She's apologizing because she couldn't help me and she didn't call me back when she should have to let me know. So that's her way of apologizing. And I would respond with, thank you for your apology, but it's okay because she helped me earlier this week. So you can come back with, that's okay, or even, I forgive you. I forgive you. I got the help that I needed. I appreciate your apology. It's always nice to let people know that you appreciate them. So I hope that this lesson has helped you understand when to use please, when to use thank you, and when to say I'm sorry. If you have any questions, please write them below. Thank you so much for following us, and be sure to subscribe to the channel or hit that like button so that we know that you're on board with Learn English at Be Global. This is Kristen, and thank you again. Hello and welcome back. This is Kristen at Learn English with Be Global, and today we are going to talk about love and hate. Basically, we're going to discuss the different ways that you can express how you like or don't like something in the English language. So we will start with love. With love, basically that's a positive feeling. We're expressing feelings about how we feel about things or actions. So these are feelings that you can have about a thing or a noun or an action, which is a verb. Now the word hate, that's negative. So that's when you don't like something. That's a negative feeling that you might have about a thing or an action. A good thing to remember whenever you are expressing whether you like or don't like something, whether you love it or you hate it, you want to remember that you always want to add the verb plus ing, or you can use the verb by itself. So you can use the verb alone, or the verb plus ing. So let me give you an example. We'll start with the word like, which is not as strong as love, but it expresses that you feel good about something. I like pizza. I like pizza, which is the thing. If I were to use the verb, I can say, I like to eat pizza, or I can say, I like eating pizza. So that gives you an example with the verb alone, using to eat, or adding ing. You can say the same thing with I like to dance, or I like dancing. I like to sing. I like singing. Another way to say that you like something is that you really like it. Oh, I really like your boots. Or, I really like your friend Claire. You can say, I enjoy this class so much. I am enjoying the weather today. Another way to say that you really like something is to say that you are crazy or mad about it. Keep in mind, this word mad in this reference does not mean angry. It literally means that you are mad in the mind. You are crazy about whatever it is that you're crazy about. I'm crazy about shopping. I'm mad about shoes. That means that I love going shopping for shoes. I really like shopping. I really like and enjoy shopping for shoes. These are all examples of positive ways to express how you feel about a thing or an action. I'm fond of going to the mall to shop. I'm fond of my friend Elizabeth. I'm fond of painting pictures. So these are all just small examples of how to say that you enjoy something or that you like something. Let's look over here at what to say if you don't like something. The negative ways to express how you feel. For instance, I dislike cleaning. I don't like to clean. I don't like broccoli. I don't enjoy going outside when it's snowing. I don't enjoy the snow. Another way that you can say this is to say, I'm sick of doing these math problems, or I'm tired of this homework. Some people put those together and will say, I'm sick and tired of going to school. These are all negative ways to say that you don't like something, to express how you feel in a negative way. I can't stand this class. I can't stand going to the doctor. To say that you can't stand something means that you literally just cannot do it. You dislike it so much that you just can't do it. You can't stand to do it. So those are some examples of hate and of love on the lighter side. But let's discuss what happens when you're referring to an actual person in a relationship. So I'm sure that you have heard falling in love. Or to fall in love. When you fall in love with somebody, that means you have spent some time with somebody. You have met someone that you have very special feelings for, and you've spent a lot of time with them, and you are building a trust and a relationship that then turns into love. We very casually and often will talk about how much we love something. Oh, I love that girl, she's so funny. Or, oh, I love this place, it's great. But when it comes to a person that you are spending time with, we never take I love you lightly. So when you say this to a person, this means that you have very serious feelings for them. This is somebody that you have spent a lot of time with. You trust them, you are romantically involved with them, and you want them to know how much you care about them. So then you would say to them, I love you. That's when you say, I love you. You don't use it lightly or with somebody that you don't really know very well. So this is love. Now, when it comes to hate and a person, in my personal opinion, I don't believe there is ever a time to say, I hate you. When you use these words in this context, hate is very, very strong. You can hate things. I hate doing housework. I hate doing homework. I hate going to the doctor. But when you put it on a person, it becomes very personal and very direct attack on them. So if you're unhappy with somebody, you could say that you despise them, or maybe even that you loathe them. Those are very strong words for somebody that you really do not like at all. But to say, I hate you to somebody, if you are going to say that to somebody, be prepared for them to say things back that are not very nice and to possibly never speak to you ever again. We take those very seriously, both I love you and I hate you. So now that we've gone over the love and the hate, what happens when maybe you're in between? Maybe it's not something that you love or you hate, so you're right in the middle. And that's here. Then what do we say? For instance, someone might ask me, do you want to go for a walk today? And I don't not want to go for a walk. I don't care, I don't love to go for a walk either. So what I can say is, I don't care. I don't care. That means either one is fine for me. It doesn't matter. Those are both ways of saying you're in the middle. You don't love it, you don't hate it. So either one is fine. You could say that too. Either one. Those are all ways of expressing that you don't have a feeling very strong in positive or in negative. So it doesn't matter to you. If you say that you don't mind, I don't mind, that's saying, sure, we can do that. I don't mind. So then you've got some in the middle too. So let's do a little exercise and think of some things that you can think of on your own. For instance, spiders. Do you love spiders? Do you hate spiders? Or maybe you don't have a feeling either way. I can tell you right now, I can't stand spiders because they scare me. But if they're fake, then I don't mind them because I know they're not real. Another example, let's say exercise. Some people love to exercise. Some people hate to exercise. Some people, they don't care. For me, I love to exercise. I love to dance as my exercise. But I don't enjoy going to the gym. I enjoy going to a dance class. And it doesn't matter to me what type of dance class it is. I really like all dance classes. So think of some things in your brain that you may love, hate, or not care about, so that you can practice the different ways that you can say these things. I hope that you have enjoyed the lesson today. I have enjoyed teaching you. Please be sure to comment, subscribe, and like our page, and I will see you again next time. Thank you. Hi, welcome back. This is Kristen at Learn English with Be Global, and today we are going to talk about being happy and being sad. There are so many different ways that we can express how we feel and our emotions in the English language. So I just want to discuss several different ways that you can express yourself when you're happy or when you're sad. So when you're happy, you feel good. You are really, really happy about what's going on. You want to smile. You want to grin from ear to ear. You can say, I'm so happy that I got my new job. I'm glad today that the sun is out and it stopped raining. Knowing that they had their baby makes me smile. It makes me smile and it feels good to know this good news. That's great. That makes me happy. I'm excited or elated, which means that you have a lot of energy inside of you because you're just bursting with happiness for whatever the situation is that makes you so happy. I'm very pleased with the outcome of my term paper. Pleased is more subdued. It's a little bit more calm. So when you say that you're pleased with something, that means that you're happy with it, but it's not as strong as saying that you're excited or elated. And it's also kind of the same as glad. So pleased and glad are very similar. That's fantastic. Or I feel wonderful. I feel fantastic. I feel wonderful. Those are both ways to express happiness. I'm delighted to hear about your friend. I'm delighted with the news that I get to go on a worldwide trip. Delighted is a very simple happiness feeling. Ecstatic. Ecstatic could go right up here with excited or elated. It means that you are bursting with energy on the inside because you are so happy about what's happening. I'm the best I have ever been. That really is saying a lot. That means that in your whole life, you are feeling the best you ever have, which definitely means that you are happy. I'm having the time of my life. That means that you are in a period of your life right now where things are going so well, you are so good, you are so happy and so glad because everything is making you smile. You are having the time of your life. You can say, I am having the time of my life, or this is the time of my life. Seventh heaven is another kind of slang saying that we use here. I'm in seventh heaven. And that means that you are in a place that you just didn't think you would ever be able to go to because you are so happy being there. Heaven on earth. That means that you feel like you are in heaven, but you're still here on earth. That's how happy you are. You are happy because you have found this heaven where everything is so amazing and so wonderful, but you're still here on earth. That's how wonderful you're feeling right now. That's how happy you are. Walking on sunshine. When you're really happy, you feel like you can walk on air or walk on sunshine or even walk on clouds because you feel like you can do anything. So this could be clouds. It could be air. I have even heard some people say I could walk on water because they are that happy that they feel like they could just do anything because they're feeling so good about themselves and their life. Jumping for joy. Jumping for joy for me goes right back to excited or elated or ecstatic. You have so much energy inside of you that you just want to get it out and you want to jump. You want to jump with excitement because that's how happy you are. So that's where jumping for joy comes in. on top of the world. Have any of you ever been in a country or a city where they have a really high mountaintop? And you climb or you drive or you hike all the way up to the very, very top of the mountain. And usually once you get up there, there is a viewpoint or a place where you can sit and look over everything. And when you are sitting and you're seeing this entire city below you, you feel so powerful. You feel so amazing that there has been this creation of this city and this place that you can go where you can look at all of these things. And it's such a great feeling. If you haven't done it, you have to find out where the highest place is in your city and go to it so that you know what I'm talking about. So the saying, on top of the world, is the idea that you are sitting on top of the world and just looking down on everything, because that's how happy you are feeling right now. You feel like you're on top of the world. You are over the moon, which is another great example that is bigger than you, that is bigger than life. That you are truly over the moon, beyond the universe. That's how far your happiness goes. So happy I could scream. Now this one's funny because usually when we use the word scream, we're referring to being afraid. And in this situation, it goes back to ecstatic or jumping for joy or excited or elated. It's that energy that's inside of you that just has to come out. And you are so happy and so excited that you could scream at the top of your lungs because you just don't know what else to do. Another example is having the time of my life. That's just one of my favorite ones, so I wanted to reiterate that one again. Whenever I am really happy, that's the one that I like to say. I'm having the time of my life. Things could not be better. I could not be happier. That is kind of a little bit of a backwards way to say it. And I don't think I have that one up here, so I'm going to put it right here. Could not be happier. And that's a way of saying there's nothing that could happen right now that could make me any happier than I am today. I am that happy. So now we've gone through several examples and different ways for you to express how happy you are. And I also wanted to throw in a slang word. Another word we use a lot in California is stoked. I'm stoked for you that you got that job. Or I am so stoked to be going on vacation because I have been working so hard. It kind of goes right with excited or ecstatic. Stoked is the same idea, but it is slang. So now that we've covered happy, I guess we need to cover sad. So expressing when you're sad, that means you feel let down or you're disappointed in something because things just aren't going your way. So let's talk about some different ways to talk about and express your feelings for sadness. You can say, I'm really sad, or I'm upset, I'm feeling down. Now notice we don't say, I'm feeling up if we're happy. So do keep that in mind. But if we're sad, we say, I'm feeling down. And that comes from, I'm feeling down in the dumps. Or I'm depressed. I'm heartbroken. It means my heart is broken. And there are different ways of saying heartbroken. There are some people that would say, it breaks my heart that you're moving, or I'm heartbroken that you're not going to be here anymore. And they don't mean it in such a grand term. And then sometimes you may truly be heartbroken. You may actually feel that pain in your chest because you are that unhappy about something that's happening in your life. So it can be used both lightly and it can be used for a heavy emotion. I'm miserable. Miserable truly means that everything is wrong. It can also mean that you're very sick, that you're not feeling well, that you are just miserable, that there's nothing that can console you or make you feel better when you're miserable. I'm unhappy. That's an easy one to remember because you can say, I'm happy, I'm unhappy. They go right together. I feel out of it, or I feel out of sorts. This means that things just aren't quite right. Something in your life feels out of balance, and maybe you're not even sure what it is. You just know that you're not happy, you're feeling sad, and you feel out of it. You don't feel like you're in your life and that things are working out the way that you want them to. So you feel out of sorts. You feel like you don't really fit in. And it's a very uncomfortable feeling, and it makes you feel very sad. Another slang word that we use a lot here in California especially is bummed. I'm bummed. That means I'm sad, I'm disappointed that this happened. They might say, it really bummed me out that you didn't call me when you said you were going to. I got stood up and I'm bummed. I'm bitter. Bitter is when you feel like something should have happened and it didn't. And it makes you angry and unhappy. And then that gives you a bitter feeling, which can make you really sad because you feel like you've been wronged by somebody else. Blue. Blue is a color, and it is also a way of expressing sadness. You can say, I'm blue today, or I feel blue, or you can say that somebody else looks blue, she looks blue today, if they're just feeling very sad and down and depressed. One that I use regularly when I'm sad is my heart is hurting. And that's my way of being able to have compassion for somebody else. If a loved one has lost their parents or someone in their family, or they've suffered a job loss, or something is going on that they're really struggling with, I may say to them, my heart hurts for you. My heart is hurting. And that's my way of letting them know that I'm very sad for them and their situation. And sometimes there's not anything that you can do for someone when they're going through a difficult time, except for maybe just offer that you are sad for them too, and that you are there to help them if they need it. So that was when I would say, my heart is hurting. Gloomy. Gloomy is a way to describe the weather, and it is also a way to describe how we are feeling. So it's almost like the weather in your head is cloudy and gray and sad. So you are gloomy. Low. I'm feeling low. Definitely feeling low. Low is just a very simple word for sad. Somber is more of a feeling of just real unhappy, disappointment. When you're somber, there's kind of this heavy depression that you feel. And somber means it's very difficult to smile, and it's an emotion that we don't use very often, but it certainly expresses feeling sad. I'm all broken up, or I'm all torn up. Sometimes you may see things on the news. We all know that the media covers so many things that are happening throughout the world that are unfair or unjust. Things that we watch that we think, why did that happen? Why did those murders happen? Why did those people get in trouble? Why did that person beat that other person? And it just makes you feel very broken up and torn up inside because you don't know why. And it makes you sad because you don't understand. So this is a good term for you to use when you just don't understand why it's happening. So you're broken up about it. You're torn up inside because it makes you sad and you don't understand. Worried sick. Worried sick is more about anxiety and a little bit less about sadness, but it basically means that you are ill because you are worrying so much about this particular problem that is making you sad. So let's say you have a child who left in the morning to go to school and you expected them to be back at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They didn't show up. You tried calling them, they didn't answer their phone. You try calling their friends don't answer their phone. At that point, you become worried sick because you don't know where your child is. That worry over not knowing where the child is literally makes you sick inside. And that's what worried sick means. Hit rock bottom. Hit rock bottom is when things have gotten so bad, there is nowhere to go but up because you have hit the very bottom of the pit. Just when you thought things could get worse, it's not possible. The very worst of the worst has happened. You are in the worst possible state you could be in, and you have hit rock bottom. Hit rock bottom. And another one that we use often here is, I'm a mess. I'm a mess. That means everything is messy in my life. I can't control anything. I am unhappy about everything. I am a mess. So there is a list, a small list of ways to express sadness. And I want you to notice, I'm sure that you have already, the difference in the tone of your voice when you're expressing happy things versus expressing sad things. When you're saying happy things, you tend to smile while you're talking and your tone goes up. And when you're expressing sad things, you lose that smile and the tone goes down and oftentimes gets quieter as well. I also would like to stress that when you are talking about whether you are sad or you're happy, the adverb or the adjective that's describing the word is usually stressed, and you would say that louder. So if you said, I'm so happy, so has the stress on it. I'm really glad. I'm really sad. Really would have that. I feel so out of it. I'm all broken up. Just to kind of give you an idea of how we say things like that. And there are times when maybe you're feeling both of these things. For instance, I had a friend who got a great job offer and she was relocating to the other side of the States. So it made me smile that she got this job, and I was ecstatic. Where's my ecstatic? I was ecstatic for her that she got a promotion and was going to have this wonderful job that she had dreamed of. But it broke my heart. Where's my broken heart? Here we go. It broke my heart that she was going to be moving across the country. So I was able to put both of those. Sometimes you're going to feel both ways about things. And sometimes maybe you don't have a feeling either way. So then you can say, I'm fine, or all right, okay. Or even so-so. Nothing, I'm not happy and I'm not sad. I'm in the middle. Or don't care. I just wanted to make sure that you had a few things of those middle expressions as well, because maybe you're not one way or the other. Life isn't always black and white. There's a lot of gray. So I hope that you have enjoyed this lesson. I have enjoyed, once again, teaching you. Please remember to like and subscribe and comment below if you have any questions. And we will see you again very soon. Thank you so much. Hello and welcome back. My name is Kristen. I am here with Learn English at Be Global, and today we are going to talk about pricing and negotiation. So pricing is literally how much does something cost? And to negotiate effectively, negotiating is a way of making a deal or making a business deal or just kind of talking to somebody about making sure that you get what you need out of the situation and helping them get what they need as well. We call that a negotiation. When two people or two parties or two businesses get together and discuss the details of some sort of deal or something that's being bought or sold or something of value that they have that they want to discuss different terms with and talk about coming to a single solution that will work for both parties. So first, let's talk about pricing. As I said before, the price is how much something is worth, how much it costs. So the first thing you have to ask is, how much is it? And in the United States, our dollars are broken down into, we have $1 bills, $5 bills, $10 bills, $20 bills, $50 bills, and for today we're going to stop at $100 bills. So we have a single bill that is worth $1, $5, $10, $20, $50, and $100. So that means in that one little piece of paper, you actually have a value of $100. So when we're talking about how much something costs and what the price is, oftentimes we add decimal points for the cents. And a cent is any of the coins that we have that is not paper. So they're either silver or gold, depending on what type of a cent it is. We have a single cent. We have a 5 cent, which is also called a nickel. Our single cent is called a penny. We have a 10 cent, which is called a dime. And then we're going to stop today at our 25-cent piece, which we call a quarter. These are the main items used when it comes to pricing and paying for something using cash. Now, if you use your card, the numbers are going to be the same, but you won't have to worry about figuring out what the currency is or what the dollars and the cents are when you're taking it out of your purse or your wallet, because you can just swipe your credit card and it will take care of it for you. So if we want to put together the dollars and the cents, let's think of an item. So let's say when we talked about shopping before and I wanted to buy a sweater, let's say that that sweater, that item of clothing, is $35.28. We would write that like this: $35.28. That means $35.28. So if I were to give them cash out of my purse to pay for this sweater, I could give them $1.20, $1.10, and $5 bill. That would take care of my $35. And then for my 28 cents, I could give them 1/4, which would be 25 cents, and then 3 pennies, which would then equal the 28. So when someone asks, how much is it? How much does this cost? Most likely, they end up taking out the dollars and the cents, and they will just say $35.28. $35.28 means $35.28. As we get into bigger numbers, let's say that this was $235.28. Then you would hear $235.28 instead of $235.28. They'll just say $235.28, and they'll regularly say it very quickly like that. So if you don't understand them, and I know what it's like to be in another country and not quite understand what words they're using when they use the numbers, because people speak so quickly, especially when you're first learning a language. So just ask them to write it down. Can you please write down the cost? You can say, can you please write down the cost? Or simply, can you write the numbers? They'll understand, and then they'll write it down for you so that you can see it more clearly. So that's a breakdown of pricing in the general numbers that we'll use on a more day-to-day basis. As we get into much larger numbers, it's a much different thing, but that will be a whole nother lesson. So for today, that gives you the pricing. How much is it? Is something, what is it worth? What is the value in dollars and cents? And someone might say, let's go for this example. Let's say that this 28 cents was not here and it was only $35. They may say 35 even. When you add even after the total, that means there's no additional cents. There's no change or no coins needed. It's only the 35. So then they would say 35 even or $2.35 even. And that means there's 0 coins needed for that transaction. So let's move over now into negotiating. So we're just going to kind of talk through a situation of negotiation. So let's say that I bought something at the store and I realized I don't need it anymore. So I looked at the return policy. They said that I can bring it back within 14 days for a store credit or a refund. Unfortunately, I missed the 14th day, so it is now the 15th day. So I'm going 1 day late, and I'm going to see if I can negotiate getting my money back for that sweater that I bought that was $35. I spent $35 on the sweater. Now the sweater is on sale, so it's worth less. It has less value now than it did when I purchased it. So I'm going to go into the store and see if there's anything I can negotiate to try to get my money back. I'm hoping for a win-win situation. A win-win situation is when both people have won. They are both happy with the results. I get what I want, they get what they want. So in my ideal win-win situation, the store is going to want to give me my money back, even though I'm a little bit late, and even though the sweater is on sale, because they want to keep me as a customer. I'm hoping that this will be a win-win situation for both of us. If we both win, that is considered the best of both worlds. That means I got what I want and they got what they wanted in the negotiation. We always hope for the best of both worlds, even though we don't always get it. So I'm ready to go to the store and I'm ready to get the ball rolling on this negotiation. Get the ball rolling. That means literally if you think of a ball rolling and how it moves forward, that will help you remember that get the ball rolling means let's do this. Let's get this started. Let's start this negotiation. Let's meet and let's figure this out. Let's get the ball rolling. So I walk into the store and I ask to speak to the manager. And I know that the first conversation that we have in our negotiation is going to find out what each of us is bringing to the table. Bringing to the table simply means, what do you have to offer me for this negotiation, for this agreement, or this deal that you want to make? What are you offering me? I know I have to offer you this great sweater. It's in very good condition. I have not touched it since I purchased it. I did not wear it. It is practically brand new. And you're now trying to get rid of them so they're on sale. But I'm hoping that you will want one more to add back into your store. And I plan on coming back to shop for my presents for my friends for their birthdays at the same store. So that's what I'm bringing to the table. And then we're just going to have to see what the manager brings to the table. When I go to speak to him, I realize that he at first is a little bit upset that I'm a day late. I should have returned it within the 14 days. And I told him, I was very apologetic. I said, I'm sorry. A lot of times when you start negotiating, you're going to use these 3 phrases here. And you might start by saying, I realize if I had brought the item back on time, then we wouldn't have to negotiate. It was in the return policy for me to get my money back if I came within 14 days, and I didn't. So he then said, as long as the sweater is in perfect condition, we can sell it again. So that's good news for me. So we say as long as, and as long as you could use that for almost anything you need to when you're negotiating. As long as I can leave early from work, I will come back tomorrow morning on time. As long as we can get the deal that we need, we'll be able to provide the money for the institution. And with unless, a lot of times what they might say is, unless you're willing to take the discount on the sweater for what it is worth right now, I will not be able to help you. So the manager could say that. I could say to him, unless you are going to give me back my full refund for the sweater, I will not shop here again. Those are all bargaining tools that you can use when negotiating. Now, I already knew I loved this sweater, but I was late in returning it, and I understand that. So I don't expect him to bend over backwards for me. Bend over backwards means you're going to go above and beyond and do everything you possibly can to make this situation work for the other person. So I know that when I want to make someone really happy, I'll bend over backwards to do whatever I can. And bending over backwards, if you think about it literally, is very difficult. If you have to bend over backwards, you're working really hard to try and do something. So that's a way of saying, I'm going to do everything I can. So if it's something that you really want in a negotiation, you can say, I will bend over backwards for you if we can make this happen. Now, I wasn't willing to bend over backwards. I didn't expect him to bend over backwards, but he was kind of driving a hard bargain. It was hard for me to understand that I would have to lose money based on the money that I spent for this sweater. So, driving a hard bargain, when someone drives a hard bargain, that means that he's not going to give me exactly what I want, not right away. And so I realize I might be losing money. If I don't get my full $35 that I spent on that sweater, and I don't have the sweater, then I've lost money. There's money that I spent that I can't get back. And if that were to happen, that's partially my fault because I was late in returning the sweater. However, I'm hoping after he drives his hard bargain that he would be willing to meet me halfway. If he meets halfway, that way I offer something to him and he offers something to me. I'm hoping that maybe he'll be willing to give me my money back if I, let's say, agree to come in and go shopping the next weekend. So he says to me, I'm sorry, but because this is after the refund deadline and because the sweater is on sale now, I can only give you back the money that you have based on the sale. I can't give you the full $35. And I may say to him at that point, is that your best offer? That's my way of trying to figure out, is this the best offer you're going to give me? Is it possible to get more money back? Is it possible that we can work out a different solution? So I would say to him, is that your best offer? And he comes back to me and says, well, I think we can figure something out. I think we can figure it out. Figure it out means let's find a way so that we are both happy. Because I think we can come to a solution that will make both of us happy if we figure it out. Let's figure it out. Let's figure something out so we can make this work. He wants to have a happy customer, and I want to get my money back. So what he ends up telling me is this. After we have gone through this negotiation, he says, how about this? I will give you a store credit for the full amount that you paid on the sweater, which is $35. And a store credit means that there's a credit at the store that I can use to purchase anything at the store. So I don't get my cash back. I won't get my dollars and my cents back to put on my purse and spend at another store. But he will give me the full value that I spent of the $35, since it is a store that I shop at regularly, and there might be something else that I would buy since the sweater didn't work for me. I think that that might work, but I want to give it some thought first. So I'm going to sleep on it. And when I tell him that I'm going to sleep on it, that means I need a day or two to just think it over. I need to get some rest first, and maybe when I wake up tomorrow morning, really think about, is this what I want to do or not? So I'm going to sleep on it first. Typically, in a situation like this where you're returning a sweater, you probably wouldn't need to sleep on it. But you use sleep on it a lot in business transactions, or especially in negotiations or deals that involve large amounts of money. Sometimes you just need some time to think, and you don't want to make your decision right then and there because you want to take every option into consideration first. So then you can say, let me sleep on it, and I will get back to you. So I told the manager, I will keep you posted. I will keep you posted means I will let you know. I will keep you posted and tell you what my decision's going to be once I decide. And you can keep me posted if anything changes. If you change your mind, if you decide maybe you will just give me the cash back, which I can hope for. So that takes you through an entire negotiating process using just a few of the sayings that we use here in the United States. There are so many more. And a lot of times people will say things just to get you to make a decision right there in your negotiating. And realize you don't have to. You can take your time and make your decision later. Another thing I want to bring up is I've noticed in a lot of my traveling that there are a lot of small stores that you can go shopping in and you can barter or negotiate. Barter means that you can talk down the price. Now, I will tell you this. In the United States, there are very few stores that will allow for bartering, not like it is in other countries. So bartering is not something that you can do regularly here. You can always ask, is there a lower price? And see what their reaction is. And if they say, oh, maybe, then you may be able to say that you want to spend less. So then you can barter and get the price down lower. Maybe there's a candle for $5. I only want to spend $3 on a candle. So I can say, I have $3, will you take $3? And they can say yes or no. If they say, how about $3.50? I can either choose to walk away, or I can take that candle for $3.50, or try to talk to him even more and negotiate even more to get that price lower. I hope you've enjoyed the lesson today. I hope that you've been able to learn a lot about negotiating and pricing. I look forward to teaching you again. Please be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Put comments down below if you have any questions, and I will see you again very soon. Thank you for joining us here at Learn English with Be Global. Bye. Hello, I'm Kristen. Welcome back to Learn English with Be Global. I look forward to teaching you today. And today we are going to talk about the weather. So the weather is basically, what's it like outside? What is the weather like? What is the temperature? How does it feel? Typically, talking about the weather is something very common for all people to discuss. So it doesn't matter where you come from, what language you speak, what nationality you are, what race you are, none of that matters. We all know about the weather. We all go outside and feel what it feels like out there. So today I want to be able to talk to you about how you can talk about the weather in English and different things that you can say. So many times someone will ask you, what is the weather like today? They may say, what is the weather like? Or maybe even, how does it feel outside? And typically, you want to say, it feels nice. If it in fact feels nice. Nice means that you can go outside, you can do anything you need to do outside. The weather is pleasant. It's a positive thing. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. It's not raining. It's just nice. It's nice outside. If someone tells me that it's nice outside, that means I would be able to go and have a picnic lunch in the park, or I can take my dog for a walk, and I don't have to worry about any part of the weather affecting what I need to do outside. That's when you say that it's nice. So we're going to start here and talk about what it's like when it gets to be a little bit warm. If it's warm out, that means that the sun is shining, like my drawing of my sun here. That means that the sun is shining and that it feels good, but it's warm. So it's not cold. You want to make sure that maybe you have a hat just in case, and you want to dress lightly because it is warm outside. Then we go from warm to hot. And there are two different types of heat that can happen when you're outside. There can be a dry heat, or there can be a wet heat. In a dry heat, the sun is beaming, shining down on you, and it feels like it's right here. It feels like the sun, you could just reach out and touch it because it is so hot. And it's dry. It's very dry, meaning there's no moisture in the air, there's no water on the ground. It's just a truly dry heat. And that's when you feel like you're burning up because it's so hot. Or someone might say, it's a scorcher today. It's scorching hot outside. Now, with a wet heat, we usually will say that it's very humid. Humidity means that there is a lot of moisture in the air. So it makes things feel very sticky, and it makes things very uncomfortable. When it's hot and it's humid, you feel like there's a layer of water and stickiness on you all the time. And it just feels heavy. The air feels heavy. It makes everything very wet and very sticky and very hot and humid. And when it's humid, there's a lot of island places, anyone that lives near the islands, whether it be Hawaii or the Caribbean or even the Mediterranean, there's a lot of humidity there. We don't get a lot of humidity here in California. Every now and then we will. Sometimes it will come in waves, and they'll say there's an upcoming heat wave. And that heat wave is bringing humidity with it. And with a heat wave, typically it lasts 3 or 4 days. It can last up to a week or two, but when they forecast a heat wave, you know then that there's coming soon a big wave of heat, and it's going to be hot. It's going to be abnormally hot or warm, and not like it typically is. And when we talk about seasons, there's 4 seasons throughout the year. We have summer, fall, winter, and spring. And those different seasons, for different areas, the weather changes all the time. So typically, all of these hot days, all of the humid days, would fall in summer. Notice I said fall in summer. What I should say is they take place in summer. I was speaking of these types of temperatures when it's really hot is typically in summer. Sometimes it can cross over into fall, but usually it's just in summer. And then as we get to fall, we start to kind of cool down a little bit. So before we get to the colder weather, I also want to talk about thunderstorms, rainstorms, lightning. Do you guys know what that is? So when we have a lot of clouds, it gets really cloudy. Typically, it's cooler when it's cloudy, but not always. So we're going to go ahead and put the cloudy here. And I drew my little picture of a cloud up here. That's my cloud. Clouds can be white, they can be gray, they can be black. And when they begin to be gray or black, then you know there's water forming in those clouds. Then you know it's going to rain. And this is my little bit of rain. So we have to realize that we can have rain in the heat or in the cold. It happens both times, and it's the same word. Whenever there's water falling from the sky we call that rain, regardless of what the temperature is. So we have rain, and with rain, a lot of times we will have thunder, and we will have lightning. Here's my little lightning. That's a horrible drawing of lightning. So lightning is when electricity shoots from the sky. It's usually really bright, and it usually comes down from the cloud, like this, to the ground. And it's a big lightning bolt, or a big bolt of lightning. And if there's lightning, there's thunder. Thunder is that big grumbling noise that's really loud, and it's very scary if you're not used to it. So thunder makes a really, really loud noise. It's all of the elements of the weather kind of running together and making this big grumbling sound. And then lightning is what you see after the thunder, as a lightning bolt that comes down from the sky in a big flash of light. It's like a big beam of crooked light that comes down. And you have to be very careful when you're in a rainstorm and there is thunder or lightning. There's also thunderstorms, in which case it's a big storm with rain and lots of thunder. So that kind of goes through, those thunderstorms and lightning can happen in the heat or in the cold. And they truly, in many parts of the world, can happen in any season. You just never know. So as we go into fall, things start to cool down a little bit. So it can feel cool outside. So maybe you'll need like a little sweater, or maybe a little light jacket. You might want to wear a hat if it's really chilly. When it starts to get chilly, then you know that you're cold. The chilliness, let me put the word chilly. If someone says it's chilly outside, that means we've gone past the point of it just being cool and comfortable. It's definitely not nice, and it's actually getting cold. So you want to make sure that you have a jacket or something to help you. And then as we go down, people will also say that it's crisp or brisk outside. And these are all very common for fall. And that's typically when it's still very comfortable. You may get a little bit of rain. And when it just starts to rain, but it's really, really light, and you can barely even see that, we call it drizzle. And then as those raindrops become a little bit more, we start to call it a sprinkle. So the drops are coming down, but they're not coming down a lot. And then once they really start to come down, then we've got a ton of water and a ton of rain. And we would say that it is pouring outside. We use the word pouring. Pouring rain. So with the pouring rain, then you know that everything is just getting soaked. I got soaked. That means my whole body was just covered in water. All of my clothes are wet. I'm soaked. And then as it starts to get even colder, it starts to be freezing. It's freezing outside. That means it's really, really cold. And if you add that freezing to rain, it starts with hail. And that hail are basically tiny little pieces of ice that are coming down. They can be tiny, sometimes they can grow to be quite big. And they don't feel very good when they hit you because they're hard. It's almost like it's raining ice cubes or little pieces of ice. And we call that hail. As it starts to get even colder, that hail will turn to a powdery white substance that we then call snow. And then that's more of a blanket of white, and it's a really light kind of shaved ice that falls everywhere. And when we have a combination of rain, hail, and snow, we call that sleet. And those are very, very scary conditions. You want to be very careful if you hear that it's sleeting outside. If there is sleet, that means that everything is very icy. It's a combination of snow and hail and rain and water, and it makes everything very cold and icy and can be very dangerous when you're driving. And then if we end up combining wind, if things get really windy, that means the air is just pushing everywhere. When it's really windy and you also add the snow, then you end up with a blizzard. Oftentimes with a blizzard, you can't see in front of you because the snow is so thick and it's blowing everywhere. You truly cannot see in the blizzard. So what we have here then are all the words and the terms that we may use when the weather is cold. And typically for cold, we would go to winter. Now, in my experience, spring is usually a combination of both. In spring, everything blossoms. Everything that's old is new again. Everything that has been covered in snow or water or rain starts to grow back, and there may be some wind. A lot of times with spring we get allergies. So our nose gets all stuffy because everything is blowing around in the air. So spring can truly have either one. Sometimes the springs are cool and they're nice. Sometimes they get very rainy. Sometimes the spring can be warm and humid. It just depends. So I'm just going to go with both of these for this one, because spring really can go either way. And here in California, our weather is so different. We may have winters where it's dry heat and it's burning up. It's so strange. And then other times we'll have a spring where we end up with hail or it's very cool. So there's very often times that the seasons may not always correspond with what these weather temperatures are. It depends on where you live. But at least you know how to talk about it and what to say. And before we go, I do want to go over some natural disasters. So a natural disaster is anything that happens with the weather and the elements that causes major problems in our country, in our city, on the land. And these natural disasters, there's 4 main natural disasters. We have a tsunami, which is actually a Japanese word that we use here. And in a tsunami, it's typically something that starts way out in the ocean. There is an earthquake of sorts out in the water. And because the plates of the earth have shifted, the water pulls back and creates a huge wave that will land on whatever the first coast is that it hits. And when that happens, you get major flooding. Whenever there is flooding, or whenever there is a flood, that means that there is an excess amount of water. There is more water than we know what to do with, and it typically will start to rise, and it can consume buildings or homes or cars, and it can be very dangerous. And with a tsunami, there is flooding because of that big wave that's coming over the ocean. And then we also have hurricanes. A hurricane will typically start out in the water as well, but it involves a big cycle of wind. And it involves wind, and there's usually rainstorms and thunder and lightning, and that huge cycle of wind starts off in the ocean and then moves on its way to the land. when it gets to the land, it starts to pick up everything in its path. There's flooding again, and there's rainstorms, there's damage everywhere. Hurricanes are very, very scary, and they move very quickly, so you never know where it's going to hit. Another similarity to a hurricane would be a tornado. Tornadoes start on land. So a hurricane involves water and land, and a tornado is mostly just land. It's the same thing. It's a huge wind tunnel that just starts, and as the winds get stronger and stronger and stronger, it will start picking up buildings, homes, cars, anything in its path. Now, the only nice thing about a tornado is that oftentimes you will get a warning. They will know when a tornado is coming, and they can kind of guess its path, sort of. So when you have that warning, if you live in an area where there are tornadoes, at that point, you can take shelter and keep your family safe until the tornado has passed. And then we have earthquakes. Now, living in California, I've been through several earthquakes. Earthquakes are very scary because you don't know when they're coming. You don't know how strong they're going to be, and they typically don't know any of this until they're over. So with an earthquake, the ground is truly shifting, and it makes everything move. And it's very scary. So the earthquake can go from a mile to 15 miles. And it can be a small little jolt, or it can be a rolling wave. And earthquakes are very scary because we never know when they're coming, and they can cause a lot of damage as things fall over because the ground is moving. So those are your main ones. We also have what's called a drought. A drought is when we have not enough water. California, right now, we are in a drought. We have not gotten enough rain or enough flooding or anything wet in a very long time. So everything is very dry. Our rivers are drying up, our lakes are drying up, and that's because we are in a drought. We have not had enough precipitation or water or rain coming into our weather systems to keep everything wet and healthy. So we are what would be then called a drought. And then another problem that we often have is fires. And with the fires, a fire in of itself is typically not started by weather. However, it is the dryness in the air and the wind that comes through that will cause the fire to spread and then make it a natural disaster. So I hope that you have learned a bit about weather today, and when someone asks you, what is the weather like? You will be able to give them an answer. You'll be able to say, it's nice, or it's cold, or I'm freezing, or it's raining, cats and dogs. It's another thing we like to say, that it's raining cats and dogs. That's just our way of saying it's really pouring outside. So I hope that you all enjoy your weather this week. Please feel free to leave us a comment or subscribe to the channel here at Learn English with Be Global. I look forward to teaching you again, and I will see you very soon. Hello, and welcome back to Learn English with Be Global. My name is Kristen here at Learn English, and I am looking forward to teaching you today about time. So we're going to talk about the different ways to say time, both with days and with the time of the day using the clock. And I want to make sure to go over how to talk about it both now, in the past, and in the future. So to start off, let's look at our clock. So this here is our clock. This will tell us what time of the day it is. So if someone were to come up to you and say, "Excuse me, what time is it?" What time is it? You would be able to tell them what time it is. According to this clock here, we have the shorthand at the 12 and the longhand at the 9. That means that it is 12:45. Now, we talk about in the United States, we use our 12-hour clock system. So we have 12 hours for AM, and we have 12 hours for PM. And this is ante-meridian and post-meridian. So if we're talking about AM, we are talking about those hours between 12 a.m. and 11:59 a.m. Once it gets to be 12 p.m. or noon, then we go into PM. So it's 11:59 a.m., 12 o'clock p.m., and then that goes all the way up until 11:59 p.m. at night. So hopefully that helps kind of explain that. For those of you that are using the 24-hour system, you have larger numbers. So once you hit your 12 p.m., where here we would say 1 p.m., you then are going on to 1300 hours. And then 2 o'clock is 14. Let me just go all the way around here. So then you're basing your clock off of a 24-hour day and using all 24 hours. Here in the United States, we use AM and PM unless you are in the military. And the military uses the 24-hour model as well. But today, I'm going to talk mostly about using AM and PM. So let's say that it is 12:45. And it's 12:45 p.m. That means it's after noon. That's where we get afternoon from. So for 12:45 p.m., if someone were to ask me what time is it, I could say it's 12:45. I could also say it's 1:45, because 45 is only 15 minutes or 1/4 of this whole circle until it gets to the top of the hour, which is right where the hour stands. Now, if we're talking about past, we could say it was 12:45 instead of it is 12:45. Some people may even say it is almost 1 o'clock. We use o'clock when we're talking about the exact hour on the hour. So it can be 1 o'clock. And when you're using o'clock, you do not use AM or PM. If someone says, "What time is it right now?" you can say it's 1 o'clock. They will know because they are asking you what time it is, and that if you are face to face, it's already inferred whether or not that is PM or AM. If you were on the phone with somebody and they were in another time zone, or they were in another area of the world where maybe they wouldn't know whether it was, in the afternoon, if it was the AM or the PM or where it stands, then what you can say is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So you can say it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, or it's 7 o'clock in the evening. Or it's 9 o'clock in the morning. When we're using the hour on the hour and we use the phrase o'clock, you want to make sure that you then specify whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, or nighttime. But you do not use AM or PM when you're using o'clock. Okay? So what I'd like to do now is look at, what we're talking about is right now. That's the present time. So we have today, it is now 4 o'clock. It is now 3 p.m. It is 3:15 or a quarter after 3. It is 3:30 p.m. or half past 3. So we have quarters that we use. Thank you. And we also can use half. It's half past or a quarter till. Okay, so that gives you a small little lesson on different ways that you can say it. But you can always just say what it is. It is 12:45. It is 3:45. It is 4:45. And if you're not sure about the AM or PM, if somebody wants to know, they will ask you. They'll say, is that AM or PM? And then you can tell them. You can remember that the A comes first in the alphabet, and AM is morning. P comes later in the alphabet. PM is afternoon, evening, and nighttime. So we have the present. It is now, today. Okay? And then for the past, that's when we want to discuss, it was 3 o'clock yesterday in the afternoon. It was, and that's when you'll use was for the time. For future, you would like to say, it is going to be, or it will be at 4 o'clock. It will be at 3:45. It will be at 8:15. Okay? So that's a quick little lesson on time. Now, before we get into more of the past, present, and future, I want to talk about the days of the week. So we have 7 days in our week, and those 7 days make up 1 week. So you may hear, what day is it? Sometimes people forget. They get so busy and they're not sure what day it is. Please be in mind, because they can sound similar. What day is it is talking about the day of the week. If someone asks, what's the date? They are talking about the day of the month on the calendar. That is the date. These are the days of the week. So we start with Sunday, and then we go to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So Sunday and Saturday, those are our weekend. Those 2 days are our weekend. It's the end of the week. So when we're talking about days and someone says, what day is it? If you're talking about today, you would say, it is Monday. If you're talking about tomorrow, that's the next day. So let's talk about just today. Today, it is Monday. Now, today is Monday. It is Monday. That's talking about here and right now. And then we go into the past. So you can use the word last. Last week. Last month, I took a test in school. Last year, I went shopping every Sunday. So you can use weeks, months, and years and use the term last. You would not say last day. If you're referring to the day that came before today, that word is yesterday. So you can say, yesterday at 12:45 p.m., I went to lunch with a friend. Today at 3 o'clock, I will be meeting my boss. Will be means it's in the future. So yesterday was in the past. Today is now. Will be is in the future. You can say, in 2 days from now, I will go to the mall. So if today is Monday, 2 days from now, would be Wednesday. In 2 days from now, I will be going to the mall. If you're talking about 2 days ago, I was sick. Okay? So I hope that gives you some examples of how to discuss time. The best thing that I can tell you is to watch and sit. If you have time to go to like a coffee shop and maybe sit with friends and listen to them talk, especially after a weekend. Everyone always wants to discuss what they did on the weekend. So they may say, "What did you do this weekend?" On Saturday, I went out to dinner with my family. And then on Sunday, I went to church with my husband. And then they may say, "What did you do last weekend?" Last weekend is in the past, so that should be your key word there. Last weekend, I went out of town on vacation. And next weekend, I will be working. So when you use next, that's in the future. And that can be week, it can be months, it can be years. You want to say next week, next month, next year. Okay? So I just wanted to be able to give you some examples on how to do the past and the present. I know that it's a lot of information. I encourage you to go back and watch this video again and really pay attention to the times, to the days, and practice using the past tense and the future tense and the present to help remember what those key words are so that you know what they are when you go to speak with a friend. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. I, as always, enjoyed teaching you. I do look forward to our next lesson, and I will see you next time. Thank you for joining us here at Learn English with Be Global, and please be sure to subscribe to my channel, leave a comment if you have any questions, and hit that like button. I will see you very soon. Bye.